So, if we talk about, for instance, an ecosystem, I already told you that in context, yeah, we have, of course, wrappers around all these macros. So there's a start Lua code, stop Lua code function. Yesterday I mentioned that I use the Skype editor. This is an example of Skype. Yeah? So it recognizes that I have text code here, but it recognizes that I have Lua code there and will follow it accordingly. The syntax highlighting is adapting to the structure of the document.
Yes, but also this is basically text file, yes.
Yeah.
So when it meets the control sequence start Lua code, it does some record coding. Yes.
It changes to a different lexicon. The Skype, in this case the editor, changes to a different lexicon. But tag itself, dus let's say context, context will see start Lua code and do some special things to make sure that you can use this. So you can do this.
Yes.
This will work.
Okay.
Because this is the command.
Yes.
So this is a bit comparable with the previous examples. Yeah. In context, if you would use this callback, believe me, it will not work. The reason is that all callbacks in context have been wrapped into a sort of management layer, and some of them has been disabled. And this one is one of the disabled ones. And there are other ways to hook into your code. I don't want to end up on the mailing list answering questions of people who have done things, sent in half of the code, messed up their complete rendering, and expect me or others to answer the questions why it doesn't work. So in context we have a callback handler called text file actions. Yeah. And I can append an action. This is the macro that you were looking for in here. I can append an actions to text file actions. I want to have it done after everything else. The function is called replace whatever. This is document replace whatever. Yeah. It gets a string and also the file name of the file that is currently being read. I can check if the file name is, for instance, a certain file name as it is here. Then I do some manipulations and I return the result. So what does it do? What does it do? Yeah. It replaces all the e's by x's, but only does it for one file. This only does it for this file because I'm checking on the file name. So this is what I mean with ecosystem. There's a whole ecosystem where you can hook in your code in different places in the right spot, and the system knows a bit which ones are provided by the system are important and should not be touched, or you can enable them and disable them. So you can just in the macro package you can if you have a special module for yourself, you say I append this action. When you need it, you enable it, and at the end you disable it or re-enabled it, etc., etc. You don't need to redefine the function each time. So this is an example of a higher level. Other questions? No questions? Okay. Well, this is more or less what I wanted to tell about extensibility and primitives and things like that. What we can do is have a quick look at what the LuaTeX plain format provides. I can also show a little bit of how you do all kinds of trickies in context if there's any interest in that, because it has a bit of a higher level interface to all these Lua things.
What about open type math in
Yeah.
such flame on the low level?
Okay, so let's first say we have this thing here. This is, if we process it, and we look at the document properties and the fonts. This is an Elm Roman 10 regular type
This
1.
is just substitution. Yes.
I think the substitution is just done at the mapping file level as part of the standard whatever. Yeah, the things that I already forgotten about long ago. How it works. The context distribution ships the LuaTeX plain format. So you need a little map. It ships the LuaTeX plain format. This is what I consider to be, at least from the LuaTeX team's perspective, to be the more or less default generic approach. So this is what we put the stuff in, this is what we extend. I don't care what other people do or whatever, this is what we provide. And I won't go any further in anything plain related than this, because it's a bit of a handicap already if you have to go back to plain, if you have the whole ecosystem working and you have to go back to something. Yeah? But I try to make it comfortable and extend it to the level that at least plain users have some basic support. LuaTeX basics. Well, this is a simple one. You could say that I could put stuff here that extends plain to a certain way. Maybe I will add the increments of the allocation macros so that you can have more allocations. Makes sense. If there are things actually that plain users think that I should provide, just let me know and I will edit that. It's not a big deal. But I have absolutely no idea how it's being used. So this is an example. We have attributes. In LuaTeX, the LuaTeX manual is quite clear about that. There's one of the few new mechanisms in LuaTeX are attributes. If you think about fonts, yeah, as we could see, we have glyph nodes. Glyph nodes have a character property. You can ask if the character is of a glyph. You can also ask if the font is of a glyph. The font property is basically an attribute of a glyph. Yeah? But in LuaTeX we can have many attributes. So you can define your own attributes, set them to values, and they will carry with the glyphs. I think it's a bit beyond this workshop to deal with that, because as soon as you start using attributes, you also start doing complex things. And if you start doing complex things, you end up with many lines of code and everybody will fall asleep. The only thing I provide here is a new attribute. You can define a new attribute like you define a new count or whatever. Really simple thing. And I don't even need, I don't do any checking, because I don't think you will define 60,000 attributes. Now, the thing here is, that's why I provide it, is that I reserve the first 245 for myself. For basically for font handling and other stuff, system stuff that you don't want users to mess around with. Okay, so we're back to LuaTeX font. This is a big one.
Yes.
Or at least it's not that big, but it looks like. This is the font. It's a big one, but it's not a big text one. Yeah? So here we have a Lua file. This is already a bit more code than we saw before, yeah? What you see, it loads all kinds of code. This is the more or less generic font code. So this is an initialization file, this does some manipulations. This is typically something that, because I don't have context, I'm somewhat crippled, so I need to provide additional resources. Happens here. Standard file, also some kind of workaround file. These are the open type handlers. The note injection is dealing with the final injection of kernels. A couple of definition files. That's about it. And what you will see here is at the end of the file you see where I hook in, I showed you callbacks, where I hook in some functions into the callbacks. But here you see the pre-line break filter, so there is this function getting hooked in and that's the other one. But there's no one where we hook in stuff, define font. Because what we're going to do, we're going to intercept the font definer. All the content related to fonts is being basically overloaded. Now how does font loading work in... What I did is I provided an interface that is similar to what CTEP does. We don't use this in context, it's just a plain text thing. But there are a couple of things that it inherits from. Okay, so let's process this one. But this is paragraph. So what we now see here is we have a type 1 font, which is the first web test, but we have defined a font. Oh, it's another type 1. What's this? I think I don't even. Does it have the same name? Oh, it has maybe the same internal name. Hello. Oh. Close this one. CID font, replacing by CID font. I think because it's interesting. I think it has to do with the internal naming of the font. Oh, now it's still open. Okay, one of the fonts is the page number. Okay, we keep the page number. Okay, I'm not going to redefine the whole plain style for doing that. Okay, so this is a way to define, let's say, an open type font. Yeah. Now the thing is, you don't get any features, you just get the font. So if I want to have, let's put a ligature in there.
This is a full Unicode font, so Polish letters will... Wow.
Well, you can come here and key in some Polish letters. I don't know how to key in Polish letters.
I don't know how to key on this keyboard.
This is standard keyboard. What's can you key in some Slovenian characters? Or is it a German here? You can key in some German characters. Nobody can do that. Oh, great.
Yeah, this is
What,
the
what
problem.
what exactly was the question? If I can use Slovenian characters, how?
On my keyboard. Forget about it.
Yeah, I can switch.
Oh, I can figure out some stuff. Yeah.
Well, I can copy some characters.
No, I can copy. It doesn't make sense. They don't care if it's real Polish, I think. As long as they see an overneck, it's okay. If they see an overneck, they are happy, isn't it?
Yes. No. No.
This is.
No, this is Cedilla.
Isn't there something Polish? An L/ maybe? No.
It's very nice.
But it looks like foreign, yeah? It looks like non-English. So let's assume that if you want an open neck, you should give me one. Maybe I can find one here.
Just go to Kurs site.
I've got one here. This looks like an A open neck, yeah? Kind of obscene Polish word. Okay, now we will leave them for 15 minutes fighting if this is the right overneck or not. You made them yourself. Yeah, so now we get the ligature. Everybody happy? We see ligatures.
It's what about dash or
Just curious, is kerning switched on by default or not?
No. Well, if in context if you would choose default features, it's turned on. But this is plain text. In plain text, you have to do everything from scratch yourself.
Doesn't, like in ZTech, doesn't one get kerning and ligatures?
Yeah, because that activates by default.
Because somebody has turned it on.
No, it's activated by default in the shaping engine.
Okay.
Because that's the Microsoft recommendation for.
Yeah, well, I found out that turning on features is a tricky thing. Yeah, there are some, for instance, the most tricky thing I ran into is this old style numerals. Yeah, there are some fonts that have them built in, and default to old style numerals being on, even if it would be a feature that you have to turn on. And there are a couple of more of those features. I myself decided let's make sure that I turn on things that I really want, because then I know I have to turn it on and turn them off by default. On the other hand, if you use, for instance, context with the font system, a lot of things like kerning and ligatures are turned on by default if you use the default feature set. So this is, in my opinion, typically a macro package issue. I don't want to fight with others who think that there should be other defaults. Okay, so this is the way how you get ligatures, kerning, etc.
What about M dash or such tech ligatures?
I don't even know if it works in this form. No, I don't. I have actually. I think I don't have this extension as part of the plain thing. I could edit. It probably didn't do it because this is. If you really want it, I can edit.
Okay.
It's typically one of the extensions that you So this is you know you have to know CTech in order to know how to turn on features and things like that. There's a LuaTeX test file. The test file shows a little bit of even this funny syntax is supported. So this kind of crazy syntax. Arabic is supported. Protrusion and things like that are supported. Yeah, well, I haven't added that. I haven't actually added that to the plain variant yet because it's experimental, and I don't want to enter in the discussions. Now, Kai should actually go over the file and do some checking with his files because I optimized some things, and I'm pretty sure that knowing myself, I screwed up some things. So we should do some checking.
I will remove the reference to the library from my slides.
Well, if you use context, then it should work. Yeah, well, you need to know a bit about fonts and features in order to be able to use them. But that's not the responsibility of, let's say, plain text or the writer of plain text. I had actually an example of I'm trying to figure out where I lost it.
For example, line.
No, I had a nice
Commented
example
line
of
in Lua file. There is some commented line in Lua file, but I tried uncommented and it doesn't work.
Oh. If it doesn't work, you should tell me what doesn't work. For instance, here I load a Lua file instead of a font. Yeah. And this, you can use this kind of stuff to define or manipulate or whatever your own fonts. You have to look into this file to see a bit how it is, and they say, okay, now I want to know more, and this is the moment where you have to move on to, in this case, because it's basically a context font loader, to the context font documentation to see how you can extend this kind of fonts, because it's definitely not the same as in.
Modify the existing.
You can modify, for instance, the character mappings and things like that. Okay, so let's go back to the LuaTeX plain font. Yeah, this is fonts. There's another one, languages. Let's skip the mask for the moment. We borrow a little bit of code of context in this file. This is the Lua file. I have to show the text file.
Simple.
Text file again is simple because we do everything in Lua. We load the patterns on demand, and there is a macro-defined load patterns. So you can load patterns PL, then you get the Polish patterns. And it sets the language. So it automatically sets the current language to the language that uses these patterns. Because you see, text of language is being set. So if you do load patterns PL, you get Polish hyphenation. If you then do load patterns DE, you get German hyphenation. And if after that you do load patterns PL, you get again Polish hyphenation. But the
language or the same?
Same language, because the system is clever enough to remember that it already loaded the patterns before. So that works. That has actually always been there.
Does it load patterns from context or from text live? I mean from text live for the from high UTF-8.
It takes them from context, but it uses capacity to search them because it's capacity based. I'm not going, I can load these other files, sorry, I'm not going to spend time on things that I already have spent time on implementing. Yeah. This works, I know it works, it's derived from context code, I can copy the code or use the code or whatever, it works, fine. And now I need only a few lines and that's it. If you want to use the pattern directly from that line, you can do that. / input, whatever file you provide, will work. Yeah. But change the language, just the traditional way you always have done it. The way you always did it will work. And then you can take the patterns that are provided with the line or whatever, and it will work. These are normally the same patterns. Yeah. So it's not a problem.
Or context is lacking in languages.
Well, if it's lacking patterns, then you probably forgot to tell me to add the patterns.
Well, for many languages there are no translations in context. There was simply never added.
Okay. Well, we can add if there's demand, we can add them. But I'm not sure if there are Thai users here. No, there are not Thai users. So that is LuaTeX NP-lib. This loads NP library and does the automatic conversion. Let's go back to
LuaTeX mat.
Yeah, I leave that for the last.
Okay.
Because you can still leave the room if you want. Let me see. Here is So there's even a wrapper like begin of mplib code and mplib code, you can do this kind of stuff, and it gets automatically converted to PDF. So it's just there's an example of how it can be done. It's there.
And you can generate such code from Lua too, yes? Direct Lua and write some.
Yeah, you can basically generate this code. Of course, in this case, you need to wrap it somehow. But you can, if you really want, because you guys are more into the direct, you are the hardcore meta-post hackers. So one of the things you can do, you can, with direct Lua, directly access the library, yeah, and do the stuff directly. You don't even need the tag interface. Like you can do, yeah, mlib.new, whatever. You initialize your stuff, you push your stuff there, you get it back. Of course, you end up in troubles because you need to translate it into PDF. But you can probably hook it into the, if you look into the meta post and this is the wrapper. Let's see where the macro is defined. Oh, I need to have the tag code, of course. Yeah, you can look here. Yeah. So there's a little bit of wrapping around it, but a lot of this wrapping you might not need if you have a more direct approach. This is the converter. There's not that much code involved. You know, if you want to embed it in a tag format, there's a bit of code juggling there to make sure that at least you have a bit convenient input here, that you can use percentages and things like that. So that's there. You can figure it out. Yeah. So this is. So we were here, yeah, and then there's LuaTeX mass. Okay, here we basically now switch to a completely different topic, but in itself it's interesting because it also shows some of the interesting aspects of tag and the way tag works. I have to admit that I had been wrapping tag code so long in higher level macros that I really had to scratch my head a few times when I looked at the plain code. So I might get it wrong, so you need to correct me if I get it wrong. Okay. Let's go back to plain tag and see how mass is done there. Go down, still not mass. Okay, here we have these fonts. This 10-point Roman being loaded, which is the CM R10. And the thing is that this font happens to be used in text, but also is used in mass. Here we have mass italic. Yes, I think from the comments you can see that it's somehow special. This one is special, and this one is special. So there's a mass italic font, there's a mass Roman font, let's say upright, and there's a mass symbol font. So these are three fonts that are important for mass. And we can go on, there's an extensible font, mass extension, that's also somehow important for mass. And I think in general you can say that that's about it. However, there's typewriter font, there's some slang stuff, both kinds of standards, and they also happen to play a role. This is
multi-type is absent.
Yeah, there's actually more absent, and there's also something incomplete. Now the thing here is that for me, it actually took till I started playing with open-type mass. I've written an article about these issues some time ago. It took a while for me to realize that if you look at tag and how tag implements mass, with all these families, that most of it is basically only relates to mass alphabets. Yeah. So you can say, why can we switch to typewriter or boldface extended or sans serif? I always naively assumed, not being a mathematician myself, that this switch meant, okay, we switch to another font and we do our math in italic, or in bold italic, or in typewriter, whatever. And only when I looked at Unicode, when it showed up, I realized that it only concerns the alphabets. All the other stuff in the font is completely irrelevant for maths. It doesn't matter what is in the typewriter font. If it is used at all in maths, only the alphabet is being used. So this means that if you
some chosen characters.
Yeah, okay, but let's say on the
from
average.
typewriter is the bar taken, for example.
Yeah, okay, but let's say that let's for the moment forget about all the special thingies. Yeah, just like the pound and the dollar and the thing. Let's forget. Let's assume that everything else is normal. The thing is that now, if you say at some point, like me, you come to the tech communities, you start writing macro package, you set up a font system, and say, oh, mass complex, lots of font switches, whatever. You load some 15 fonts in order to get your mass running, because you also have the small sizes. And you set up a complete font switching mechanism, which is pretty heavily loaded, only to find out after many years that this complication comes from the simple fact that in maths we need a few alphabets. Yeah. In retrospect, of course, I wonder what would have happened if these few alphabets would have been packed in one font. Say that all these alphabets would have sit in one font. Okay, we can put quite some A till Z's in one font. Use a simple offset. Yeah. And have a way simpler macro package than this stuff would ever provide. Nevertheless, this is what we are stuck with. Okay, so we have all these thingies. Skip the preloaded stuff, and we move on to where the first section of maths starts. Okay, you start with the system. It initializes 10 Roman, 7 Roman, 5 Roman, and assigns it to tech font 0. Tech font 1, 2, and 3 are also more or less standardized use, and there is some half-defined stuff there that we for the moment can forget about. So if you want to replace this mechanism with open type maths, at least you have to deal with these three things. Yeah? Somehow, one way or another, you have to deal with them. If you also want alphabet, you also have to deal with these. Okay, then we come here, yeah, this big section, and these definitions effectively say that we get, for instance, the P from a certain family and a certain slot, and it has certain properties. So let's see what's there. If you look at these numbers, the last two numbers tell us where it comes from. So let's say the 5 theta is hexadecimal 2-3, 5 feet is 2-7, gamma is 0-0, so it sits in slot 0. This is the family. This is the family, and this is a very special meaning. It tells in what category of characters this thing sits. So I was looking at it and I had some unwanted side effects. Now you know the context font mechanism, we're talking Mark II, so it's ages back that I looked into that. We do lots of massive switchings of families and other kinds of stuff and whatever. So actually I never really bothered about this thingy, apart from where it makes sense to bother about them with respect to spacing. So you can have, let's say, characters, they can have 7 classes. Some of these classes influence the spacing around the symbol. Yeah? So for these things, you set it up. Yeah?
Coffee times. Can you just fetch, people can go and fetch themselves a cup of coffee, come back here, to use the time, not to stroll around. Yes?
Okay.
Is that an idea? 5-10 minutes. 10 minutes.
Good.
No, that's